GMs for Hire.
Hey there, everybody. How you doing tonight? Lots to talk about tonight. We got a lot to get to. Um, a lot of moves in college football to talk about. That's for sure. Uh, but this is J Mac here with you. I will not be turning on my camera tonight, so you can hear my voice. You will not see my face. I'm sure a lot of you are happy about that, not having to uh, see that tonight. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce the guys around. Chris, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. Yeah, chaotic college football landscape changing and just sports in general.
Yeah, a lot of things changing. It's kind of crazy. Before we get into all of that, let's man, I'm gonna have to close the window. That's crazy. Um, uh, Mess around's here tonight. Also, mess around. How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I decided to turn my camera off too. I'm outside. You can't see me anyway because it's dark out here. So
You can't see me. Are you trying to be John Cena tonight?
that's right. You
Especially
can't
here.
see me.
Yeah, kind of crazy stuff going on tonight. But man, we were talking a little bit about it before the show. I think we were all. I mean, it's all in good fun, and we all definitely appreciate each other as far as that goes. But I tell you what, we were all definitely had our own opinions about wherever every team's going to go. Mass exodus in the Pac-12 today. We knew USC and UCLA were leaving, and I want to start there, and I want to ask your guys' opinion. And we know that Oregon actually got ranked in the top 5 for the last 10 years of the. They got ranked in the top 5 in the last 10 years for, as far as the one of the best teams in the country, making the most prestige and stuff here in the last 10 years. And I would think I don't know if I put them in the top 5, but I definitely would put them in the top 10. They've definitely had a good run here in the last 10 years, that's for sure. But my question is, as an Oregon team, if you know that USC and UCLA are leaving, who are bigger school names than you are, and you've struggled with them the last couple of years, why wouldn't you stay in the Pac-12? Because you would win that conference every single year.
That's
Any thoughts on that, guys?
You're not wrong. I mean, if they did stay, they would win every year. But I think they're leaving because they're following the money. I mean, they're going to get bigger TV contracts given over to that conference.
I mean, I get it, but why would you? If you had if you had the biggest problems the last couple of years with USC and UCLA, and you knew they were leaving to go to the Big Ten, why would you go to the Big Ten?
I don't know, bro.
More eyes, I think.
I mean, I would, because there was talks a couple of years ago of them joining the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to be Oregon, Arizona State, and Utah that were going to leave for the Big 12, and they were going to become the Big 16. That was a couple of years ago, and I know that that's been passed and that hasn't happened. But, I mean, they almost should have done it that way, to me anyway. But, I mean, here we are. They didn't, so there isn't any point in bringing that up. I just question why go to the same conference for the schools that beat you the last couple of years. I guess that's my only It's my only opposition to all of that.
But at the same time,
I-
too, things can change. That
No,
could
I
also
get it.
happen.
I know, and I get what Mess Around is saying is the money. I know you're gonna go where the money is, but
You're also going to get more.
you know, I figured out
exposure.
what it is. I figured out why the Pac-12 didn't survive. You know why the Pac-12 didn't survive?
What's that?
The
We're on the West
Pac-12's
Coast.
the Pac-12's biggest supporter was someone on our network who meant a lot to us. And now that she is no longer with us, the Pac-12 said we can't survive without our biggest supporter.
True.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I'm excited though because you get to see new matchups, new rivalries, new like matchups that you wouldn't dream about seeing, like unless they met in a bowl game or something. You know, like you get Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, Oregon, Wisconsin. You know, teams like that. You get to see them play every year, whereas before it'd be like
I mean,
a bowl game.
okay, but Oregon's really going to have to change their game. The Pac-12 was built on high flying offenses, fast offenses, scoring a lot of points. That's not Big Ten football.
No.
The Big
They're
Ten is
really-
the Big Ten has been built on running the ball and solid defense
Yeah.
for 50 years.
I don't know. Maybe they could make it work. I mean, if their offense is, you know, still high scoring, scored a lot of points. As long as their defense is fine, I think they'll hold their own in the Pac-10 or Big Ten. Excuse me.
Well, I mean, you might as well call it the Pac Big, whatever you want to call it.
I don't think they're
The
going to
Mountain-
change their name.
The
I
Mountain
don't think
Pac
they're gonna-
Big Ten. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't think they'll change their names, though.
no, they're not going
Very
to change the
confident.
name. Well, you know, they have to do something though. If everything happens the way it's supposed to, they'll have 20 teams, and you're still being called the Big Ten.
Jesus, yeah, they're gonna have to do something. You can't. That doesn't make sense. Called Big
It's just
Ten.
like the Big 12. I mean, the Big 12 was the Big 12 last year, but they had 10 teams. How are you the Big 12 if you only have 10 teams?
They've
Right.
been like that for 4 or 5 years now.
I understand, Chris, but you get my
Right.
point.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
You know, so you're going to have 20 teams in the Big 12, and you're going to keep it the Big 12. I mean, come on, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You got to change something. You got to do something different. And let's, I mean, rest in peace to the Pac-12, who called themselves the Conference of Champions anyway, but that really never
Mhm.
held any water. Like, what did
No.
what did the Pac-12 actually win? Nothing. They didn't win
Not
anything.
bragging rights either. I mean,
Not bragging rights either.
No.
So you got 4 teams left. You got Oregon State, Washington State, Stanford, and Cal.
Yeah, because none of those teams have been good forever. Nobody wants those teams. So
Right. So here's my question: do they join the Mountain West Conference?
I mean, they got to do something. They can't just be 4 teams in one conference. So they're gonna have
Or
to.
well, you could have an independent.
well, here's another thought I had also. Here's something else I was thinking about. Or do you bring in teams that don't really belong? Maybe you drop the Mountain West back to 10 teams, and you take a team like New Mexico, who's one of the worst teams in college football, by the way. What if you took?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying, what if you took a team like New Mexico and Nevada, right? What if you took those 2 teams, you put them in with those 4, and then you find 2 other teams that want to join, and you make a conference of 8, and you bring the WAC back, make the Western Athletic Conference.
That would make sense. I mean, I could see him doing something like that.
What if you did something like that? Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Honestly, where I live, I was in between Oregon and Oregon State as far as where I lived, like literally halfway in between both of them.
Mhm.
So I knew a lot of Oregon State fans too, and I can't imagine how they're feeling right now. I mean, their
Left out.
conference just got ripped apart,
They're feeling left out.
for sure. They're feeling left. I mean, that's one way to put it. They are definitely feeling left out. But
I'm
what
sure if they
about
don't.
sort of Notre Dame's an independent, right? They've been
Yes.
independent for years.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
think this changes things for Notre Dame now?
No.
So I would, because like you said, they've been independent for years, so they've maintained, they're
I can.
still popular, still relevant.
But what if they decide that, hey, we want to join those 4 teams out west, and then you want to bring in a New Mexico and what other team do we say? New Mexico and Nevada, and now we're up to 7. We need one more team that wants to join in.
I could see the other 4
Why not pull
becoming
Boise,
independent.
pull Boise
Boise
State
State.
over?
Boise State's in one in there that could be in there too. Yeah.
I could see the 4 from the Pac-12 becoming an independent at least for a year, maybe.
That doesn't do anything for you though. That's not bowl games. That's dollars lost.
Right. If you pull Boise State and Notre Dame, those two are going to be fighting for the conference title every year.
Right, but I know they have a contract thing, but I know Notre Dame does do bowl games. But
Well,
yet
yeah.
they have a contract
But it's
affiliated
Notre
with the
Dame.
ACC.
I mean,
right.
you have a name in Notre Dame. Do you really think that Cal can go to the board and say we're going to be an independent, but we want to be guaranteed a bowl game if we get a winning record this year?
No, they haven't been relevant in a long time because they're not.
Right. The NCAA is not going to do that. And the problem with Oregon State, let's talk Oregon State for a minute. Oregon State's had some good teams. I mean, let's face it. Living in Oregon, we know they've had a couple of years where they've had 9 wins and 10 wins. The problem is Oregon State is not consistent at all.
They have a good year once every 12 years, it seems like.
Right. I mean, they were really good back when they had TJ Houshmandzadeh and Chad Johnson were the receivers. They had a really solid team that year. They won 9 games.
Didn't
They
they
went to a prominent bowl game. They went to, I believe, the Sun Bowl that year, which is a pretty prominent bowl. I mean, it was a New Year's Day game that year. So I mean, they
blew out Notre Dame, right?
What's that?
I think they blew out Notre Dame that year in a bowl game.
Yeah, I mean they won that game. So I mean they had a solid team then, and then you fast forward a few years, and they had a couple of good years there in the middle of the 2000s. I'm trying to remember who was on that team. Oh, Matt Moore was the quarterback. Steven Jackson was the running back. Like they had a good solid team. And then they went to another bowl game. I think that one they won also. And then this last year, they won 9 games out of nowhere, right? But the problem with Oregon State is that's their MO. They're good for 1 year, and then they're bad for the next 5.
Yep.
And Washington State, the only reason Washington State was relevant was because of Mike Leach. And he had the air raid offense. That's the only reason Washington State was in, because they pumped all those quarterbacks throwing the ball 600 times a season,
right?
And showing that you can win games by throwing the ball. But Washington State hasn't been good since Ryan Leaf played there, and before him it was Drew Bledsoe. So you had 2 guys play there. Washington State was good in 91 when Bledsoe was in his senior year and took him to the Rose Bowl, and then they went to the Rose Bowl again in 97 when Ryan Leaf took them there. But they haven't been good since.
Right.
And then Cal, when's the last time a Cal team even had a winning season?
Weren't they good a couple years when they had Goff there?
Goff was good there. They did okay with Rodgers. They did great when Rodgers was there. I think the most wins he had was 7 in a season when he was at Cal. And they've had good players, though. That's the thing at Cal. Cal has pumped out some good players in the NFL. Jared Goff, Aaron Rodgers is 2 of them. But, I mean, who was it? The running back that played there. Man, I can't think of his name. Beast Mode.
Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, Lynch played at Cal. So, I mean, he brought prominence to Cal there. You've had some good defensive players play there, too.
Wasn't Deshaun Jackson from there, too?
No, Deshaun Jackson's not from there. Deshaun Jackson was somewhere back east.
I wasn't sure.
But I know you're on the right track for sure on that. But they've had some good players come out of Cal. And then you got Stanford. And here's my problem with Stanford. Stanford's had a couple of good years. I mean, they brought us Andrew Luck. So
I was going to say they haven't been good
Andrew
since
Luck
played.
Andrew Luck brought a lot of prominence to Stanford, right? And then they had Toby Gerhart for those years. I mean, Toby Gerhart played good for Stanford. I mean, John Elway played at Stanford. So you've had some good players at Stanford and come out. Maurice Sick a couple of years ago, who was able to play both sides of the ball, tight end and linebacker. What?
Richard Sherman was from Stanford.
Richard Sherman is from Stanford. So, I mean, some good players have come out of there, but they've never been consistent enough to keep it on the field. That's definitely been the problem at Stanford. So, I mean, all the 4 teams that are left, they could win some games in a conference. I mean, don't you think that if Oregon State, Washington State, Cal, and Stanford, they have something to offer to a conference? I mean, they are pretty big draws as far as college football teams go.
They had that running back that was good too, Bryce Love, I think, something like that. He was really good.
Yeah, Bryce Love was good there, but I mean that's the thing. Those teams, they've had good players. They're just not consistent. That's the problem, and that's why conferences don't want them. That's why I think they're going to have to form their own conference or join the Mountain West. That's really what's left for those 4 teams.
Yeah.
If they were smart, and they will do a Barry Alvarez. That's his name. I couldn't think of his name earlier. I was so mad at myself for not being able to think of the Wisconsin football coach's name. Anyway, Barry Alvarez. If you were smart and you were the Oregon State coach and you thought you could compete every year in a conference, you would petition the NCAA to let you form your own conference. You bring those 4 teams in, you bring a couple others. Maybe you get it up to 8 teams, maybe 10 teams. Make one of those teams Hawaii. And I know that Hawaii's never been great, but what if your recruiting tactic like Barry Alvarez? So Barry Alvarez was brilliant. He used to schedule a game every 4th year. They played away at Hawaii in Aloha Stadium. So when he went out recruiting
for football.
Right. So when he went out recruiting, his recruiting pitch was, you can go play at any school you want. I know you got a lot of offers, but if you come to Wisconsin and you play for us for 4 years, I guarantee you'll go to Hawaii, all expenses paid.
Right.
And I would play.
I mean, right. You're going to sign up for the team, right? And so that's what I'm saying. You get these teams and you say, hey, we go to Hawaii every other year. You're going to get to go to Hawaii if you come play for the school. So I don't know. There's a lot of options, but it's gotten out of control. It's gotten out of control. I kind of feel bad. I feel bad for Big B in all of this because Minnesota
got screwed.
Could have finished probably. I don't know. They probably could have finished 4th in the Big Ten this year. So this year they might, but next year they're probably going to be. I mean, it's sad to say Minnesota's a pretty good team, but Minnesota's probably going to finish. They're probably when that whole conference goes together. You're talking about bringing Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA. You just put 4 teams that are better than Minnesota in the conference. You drop them from the 4th or 5th best team to the 8th or 9th best team in the conference.
You're not wrong, and I can't argue that. I mean, the thing is everybody will say recruiting is hard because it's cold in Minnesota, it's cold up there. Okay, what about Wisconsin? What about Michigan? Ohio State? It's not 80 degrees every day that they play football. It's cold in those states. Iowa, they get the snow too. I mean, our snow is no different than theirs. So it's just Minnesota just has bad recruiting. They don't have that, that Alvarez, like you said, J Mac, where, okay, yeah, every 4 years we get to go to Hawaii. Every 4 years we get to go play down in Florida on a away game, all expenses paid. I mean, they don't have that, so.
Well, right, but it's not like the weather here in Oregon. We don't get snow, but it's windy, it's cold, it's rainy.
Well, exactly. So cold states just need to recruit a little bit harder. Yes, a lot of kids when they go to college want to get away from their parents, want to get away from there, want to live the college life. So where do they go? They go away. They go California. They go to Texas. They go where all the party / schools are, to get that away feeling, So it's just I hate when they bring up the cold. Minnesota will never compete because it's cold. There's cold elsewhere. All the other teams are competing. So what's our problem?
It's a great question. It definitely is.
I think another thing is really messed up with football is the transfer portal.
Yep.
Oh man, the transfer portal is out of hand. That needs to change. We need to change some
transfer portal.
I like the transfer portal to a point. I mean, it's pretty much free agency for college football. I mean, or college sports in general. But the thing is they got it regulated somehow, just like in sports. They got the salary cap and all that stuff to kind of regulate things, unless it's baseball. But I mean, I think the portal should only be open is if your coach, one of your coaching your head coach, your coordinators leave, and go somewhere else. Then it should be open to be like, okay, you came because this coach was here. Now you can leave, free will. That's what I think. I think how it should regulate that way.
And then you can also maybe have a date, kind of like the trade deadline or something, where for that one day or time period or whatever you want to define that, it can be open. After that, no more.
Yeah, well, do you know what killed college football anyway? I mean, all of these teams. What?
TV deals?
No, what killed college football was NIL deals.
Yep.
And I get it. Like, I understand. I really do. I really do understand. I don't think you had to completely change it the way they did. Now, the rules needed to change. I will agree with that because, a kid couldn't sell his pair of sneakers to somebody, and that was wrong. That was wrong of the NCAA to do that because they wanted to make all the money off of them. So things like that needed to change. But when you have kids now that have never had money, but all of a sudden now you're going to offer them an NIL deal, you're making monsters out of the kids, and it's unfortunate.
I mean, what
contract?
Well, exactly, and the thing is the argument always has been, most of those players, especially in football, are on a free ride or a semi-free ride, so they're getting paid to play football. And I think it was the O'Bannon brothers that started that whole wanting to get paid when they got out of college and, started seeing, I guess, how it's wrong. But again, you're there you're an athlete, or you're a student first and you're athlete second. That's how it's always been. And now it's more or less, okay, you're an athlete first, student second. I mean, I get what J-Mac's saying. It kind of killed it, but in the limelight, it was semi-smart move to get these guys some money, but I mean, like Chris said, it's kind of you're signing a contract for 4 years, to represent whatever. So,
And now, when you have the transfer portal, or even just signing with the school or wanting to be at that school, it's like, well, how much NIL money am I going to get?
yep.
That's pretty much what they're asking.
Yep.
Okay, what's the education?
Well, do you want to know the messed up part about that? Here's the messed up part about NIL deals. And yes, I do. So if someone's watching and they want to question my credentials on knowing about this, let me tell you something, that I have a certificate in my email that says that I have the right to talk about this. So I just want to I just want to let you know that if you're watching, a certain person who's a Vikings fan. And anyway, let you know that I do have the credentials to talk about this. So the problem I have with NIL deals is that they're not regulated.
Yep.
And for instance, I don't think that you always, if you're representing one of the kids, sometimes it's about you and how much money you can make, because NIL deals as an agent are not regulated. So most sports, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, that I know of for sure, the big four, if you're an agent for a player, you can only take up to a certain percentage as an agent. You're only allowed to make, I want to say the top tier is 12%, right? You can't charge any more than that for your services. But on an NIL deal, on an endorsement deal, there's no cap.
Yeah.
My thing of the NIL deal is it's okay now. If you're gonna make it okay now, you got to go back. You got to give Reggie Bush back his Heisman. You got to give USC back their championship.
100%.
Right now.
You gotta give Penn State back everything you took from them over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about the Penn State one.
Yeah,
The Penn State one was not anything NIL related. That one was more, that one was
I personally think it was BS. I mean, I know the allegations and everything is serious. I'm not stating that, but to take away what the other players earned,
How about this though? How about if you go back and do that for those schools? Do you have to go back to the 80s and take away SMU's take away the punishment that came down to SMU when he gave them the death penalty and killed that school for football for 20 years? That school didn't recover for 20 years.
They're still picking
up. Well, heck, I mean, J-Mac, you might remember. Chris, I know you're too old, and Messer, you might remember. What about 95 or 96? Gopher basketball was like the big bad team, and they had to sit all their starters except for like one in the championship game or the Final Four game to go to the championship, and they got blown out. They erased that whole season. I mean,
yeah.
Was that UNLV?
I'm trying to think who they faced, but yeah, I mean,
wasn't that the O'Bannons that played for Minnesota that year?
No, O'Bannons played for UCLA. Yeah. It was John Thomas. It was that group. I think Bobby Jackson was part of that.
Who was the big guy in the middle?
John Thomas.
Okay.
It might have been Randy Brewer too, I think, but those guys, got caught cheating or whatever. Had somebody else do their test for them, and they got benched for the Final Four game to take them to the championship game. That was the best team ever. And they were supposed to win it all that year, and nope.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, we spent a good half hour on that. Let's switch gears because I have questions about baseball. I have a question about one rule in baseball, in particular. Watching a game today, and I like it. I personally like the rule.
J-Mac, before you move to your question, because I know it's going to be great, but anybody know what the anniversary of today was? In baseball?
Mm-hmm.
Today's the 4th of August.
It would have been 4th of August.
Yeah,
4th of August.
Yep.
Would have been
93.
93. So was it when no, was that August when Cal Ripken
When
broke
nope.
90 wait,
It was
93. No, let me give me a chance. Give me a chance.
okay. All right, I'll give you a chance.
93. So it was what, 29 years ago? Do I have that
30
right?
years ago, as of yesterday.
30 years ago
Yep.
yesterday.
Yep.
30 years today for y'all, but
So 30 years
Yeah.
ago, let's see who
August
would have
4th.
been big names in baseball then. You would have
Yep.
you'd have had Nolan Ryan still.
Yep.
And that would have been the year after the Twins went worst to first.
Nope. That's 2 years. That's 2 years ago. That was in 91.
Was it when Nolan Ryan just beat the shit out of
Yes.
Robin Ventura?
Yes, it was the day that Nolan Ryan got 4 hits off of Robin Ventura. Yes, it was. Yes, that was the Nolan Ryan Robin Ventura thing. I saw the video again today, and I still laugh at it. I thought it was just sweet that because wasn't Robin Ventura like a rookie or second year in the league or something like that?
It was like his second or third year. He was a third baseman for the White Sox. Yeah.
It was just great to watch him go out there and get put in a headlock and just get pounded on
by an old man. Like Nolan was old by then.
Oh yeah, he was he was what, mid-40s at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just pounds on him before he's. Yeah. So anyways, okay, J-Mac.
That's the game. No, that's the game that his lip was bleeding. He went right back out there and just was throwing 100-mile-an-hour fastballs right after beating the shit out of somebody.
And I think for years up until Ventura coached the White Sox, every time the White Sox came in, they opened their series with that clip every year. They would do their opening and they would always put that clip in there. But when Ventura became the White Sox manager, they stopped doing that.
Yeah, of course they did.
Yeah.
Anyway, a couple of questions I have about some rules this year. So one is, do you guys like the bigger base rule? It's definitely been more exciting for stolen bases. That's for sure.
Yep. I love it.
It has, yeah.
The bigger bases.
Oh, the bigger bases. I don't know. I really really noticed any I really watch a lot of baseball here because my White Sox are trash.
Yeah. But no, they the stolen bases are up, and I know somebody interviewed Ricky Henderson, and they asked him about the stolen bases and how that would affect his deals, and he gave his thoughts that it would improve, and they asked him like how many more stolen bases would it be? Would you have gotten 200? And I guess he kind of snarked at it and said, "Come on, really?" And gave that answer like, "No, it'd be more than 200." So I like the bases. I like the stolen bases.
I saw a stat about Ricky Henderson the other day where he had a game where he went 0 for 0 and he had 4 stolen bases and like 4 runs scored or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because he got walked 4 times. Yeah.
Yep.
Crazy. Crazy. Here's the other rule I like. When they implemented the rule that if you're losing by 8 runs or more, you can put a position player on the mound.
Oh yeah.
Because you don't have to burn your bullpen. And at first I was like, I don't know how I feel about that rule. But I was watching a game today and it gives it almost like you're playing in the backyard against your friend's field, Well,
but they've always been able to put the position player in.
Right, but they changed the rule where you have to be winning or losing by 8 runs, because you used to be able to put a position player in when you were out of pitchers in the bullpen or long inning game. There was a completely different rule than it used to be. Now you can do it at any time if you're winning or losing by 8 runs.
Oh, I guess I never heard the specifics, because I always remember, you're up 10-0 or down 10-0 going into the last at bat for the other team. Everybody always threw in their, backup catcher or outfielder that's on the bench so they wouldn't have to use their pitchers. So I know they actually put that into a rule per se.
Well, they changed that rule when they changed the every pitcher has to face 3 batters rule. So you couldn't just throw a guy in there
okay.
to face
Yeah.
one batter at the end of the game. But then they changed that back to, well, we'll just make it 8 runs. If you're up by 8 or down by 8, you can use a position player. But I like it. It kind of gives you back. It takes you back to your childhood playing against your friends. You know.
Mhm.
I was watching the Atlanta game today a little bit, and the Cubs were down by 8, and they brought their backup catcher in to pitch, and he's just lobbing in there. He threw a 37-mile-an-hour fastball.
Well, that's just like last year, the year before. I think Twins were playing Mesmerel's White Sox, and I think it was Mercedes up against oh God, what the heck's his name now? The big guy that used to play catcher, then he played first for a while, but he had a 3-0 count on him and just lobbed one up there.
Threw it
And
down the middle
yeah.
and he crushed it.
oh yeah, it was out. It's probably still flying in the air the way he just crushed it. And that's when Lasorda got mad at his player and benched him the next game or something. Gave an earful. It's like, dude, it's a blowout game. Yeah, etiquette in baseball, you don't do that on a 3-0 count and that late of a game. But young player, the game's changed now. I didn't see no problem with it. The guy hit it.
You tell me if you got a fucking give me right down the middle 3-0 count, you're not gonna crush it either. Come on.
Oh, I'm a power hitter, and I mean, I guess if I'm any hitter and the guy gives me a 3-0 count, fastball right down the middle, I mean, I'm gonna swing as hard as I can, and hopefully I hit the cover off the ball like in Sandlot. I mean, yeah. I mean,
okay, so here's something I don't like that's changed in baseball.
The clock.
Watching the game today, and I saw there was a kid for the Cubs. His batting average for the year is 1. Yes, you heard me right. 196.
okay.
Okay. But he's played every game this year. They won't give him a day off. Do you know why?
His defense?
Because he's hit 24 home runs.
Wow.
Is
Because
that that center fielder?
Yeah, because he's a power
That
hitter.
dude's a beast.
He's a beast, but he's hitting 196.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't either. I mean,
But no, I saw that kid against the Twins when they were here, and man, he launched one that would have been out of the stadium if we didn't have the tall bleachers in the back. I think he would have put that one on the streets. I mean, he just crushed it. So yeah, that guy, he's going to come around. Hopefully, I mean, if you're a Cubs fan, hopefully that kid comes around. But yeah, I mean, 190, whatever. I mean.
I'm just not a big fan of low batting averages just because you have power, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it could be that he's a rookie too, and he's still trying to figure out the pitching. And
but the thing is, though, okay, let's make the comparison. Back in the day, 190 something, low 200s, high 100s. Ozzie Smith, one of the greatest shortstops ever. I mean, granted, he probably had better seasons, but I mean. He was there for his defense. I mean,
No, you're not wrong.
I know it's a sad comparison because it's different generations, but not saying the guy's the same. But I mean, the baseball has changed so much. I mean, your 3-4 hitters were your decent power hitters. Now anywhere you can get power from.
1 to 9, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. You can get power. But one other thing I really like that's trending in baseball right now is the fact that the Yankees are in last place.
Yes.
That always makes me laugh.
The
Yep.
only thing that could be better is the Dodgers were in last place as well.
that would be
Yeah, they'll
bad,
choke.
yeah.
They'll choke.
All the teams I wish were in last place right now, were definitely would be both the New York teams and then the Dodgers.
Yep.
And the Mets are pretty close, by the way. The Mets are only 4 games better than the Washington Nationals So
Yep.
Whoa.
Chris's World Series pick right there.
There you go.
I had to wonder. There was a guy for the Royals. It was the infielder, and I'm trying to remember his name, and he's a really good fielder. I'm not sure why we picked him up in Atlanta because we don't really need another infielder. I mean, you look at our infield, we don't really need an infielder. But he went from the Royals, who are the second worst team in baseball, and then he went to – the joke was he went to bed as a Royal. He woke up the next day and found out he was going to the best team in baseball. How ecstatic would you be?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're second in first place, but again, your goal. I mean, granted, the Royals aren't in it, but you build chemistry with that team, and so it's one of those love hurt things. I mean, yeah, you love the chance to play for a pennant, but again, you left a team that you built friendships, you built a goal for the year, and you're failing. So it's one of those things. I mean, good for him.
And how many people are laughing at the Mets right now? Because you went out and you spent money to get Verlander and Scherzer, and we're going to guarantee a World Series championship. And then you trade them.
Yep.
Then you trade them before the end of the season. Not even one season into their contract.
And that's not even them, too. I mean, they went out and spent money on quite a few players over last year. And I think, didn't they trade like 7 guys away that had massive contracts this year?
Yeah, yeah.
Not only the fact that they traded those guys, but they paid the other teams to take them.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the Moneyball quote.
Yeah. I mean, they sent Scherzer to the Rangers.
Yeah.
So the story went. I watched the behind the scenes, like the story. They said that the Mets called the Rangers and said, "Hey, do you want one of our ace pitchers?" And the Rangers said, "Of course we do. Well, what do you want for him?" And they mentioned whatever, and they said, "Oh, and he's only slotted to make $44 million this year or something." And the Rangers are like, "Yeah, call us back when you got something better." So the Mets call back and tell him, well, if you take him, we'll pay $32 million of his contract.
Right?
Yeah.
I read a thing about that, too, that, like, the GM was like, man, Scherzer doesn't have anymore. He's washed up. We're giving away because he's not good anymore. Rangers aren't getting the same Scherzer. He's just not that good anymore.
I thought I saw something a few weeks ago. As a matter of fact, it might have been around Bobby Bonilla Day. Doesn't the Mets owe like 9 players money for like until 2030 that aren't even in the league no more?
Yes. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, and then Scherzer. Speaking of Scherzer, didn't I see something too where it's either him or Verlander that are getting paid by 3 different teams this year?
It's Verlander.
Okay.
Yeah.
Verlander's still getting paid. No, he's still getting paid from the Tigers. He's still getting paid from Houston. Maybe.
It's one of the two, but I'm just like, yeah. God, wouldn't we love to go back and have our old employee pay for some of our salary now?
Oh, man. Well, so Isaiah's here. He says,
oh boy.
Yes, great job, Texas. Scherzer will help Texas mightily. I don't think they can help mightily. I mean, they're in first place. Anyway, I bet $50 on Texas to win the World Series.
That's coming from a guy that thinks Fred McGriff is a third baseman.
Yeah.
Well,
Texas
is out of the World Series.
I know.
Did you see that one, by the way, where he said that the guy was the greatest third baseman since Fred McGriff?
Right? Since
base. I don't think he did in the majors. I think he was drafted as a third baseman. I could be wrong. And I think he moved over to first.
I looked it up.
Okay, you could be right.
No, I'm just saying, Big B, and that could be. He could have been third base at some point. But what I'm saying is Fred McGriff played 2,369 career baseball games in Major
Yep.
League Baseball.
Yep.
He played 0 at bats at third base.
Yeah.
So he's not a third baseman. Is my only point. So when you
No.
say things
Oh,
like
I get
that,
it.
he was
Yep.
not a third baseman.
Yep.
I don't know how many times I got to tell that dude, Google is your friend.
Right?
Well, and that's just anybody. I mean, it's just not him.
He's
I mean,
just made it worse, though.
Yeah.
Isaiah trying to correct himself just made it worse. You want to hear what he said now? He said, "My bad. I meant Chipper Jones." So he's saying this guy for Texas, he's going to be as good as Chipper Jones.
Oh, that rookie they got up there?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to it's hard to compare players to players in general, but first the rookie year. I mean, you got to give a guy 5 years because he might have a great rookie year, but once the pitchers get to know him, once they know his tendencies, once they get the book on him, how does he react? I mean,
You ever heard of a thing called the sophomore slump? Because it's real.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, with that said, by the way, hats off to McGriff. I'm glad someone brought up Fred McGriff because well deserved to go to the Hall of Fame.
Why was he not in there before? I don't get it.
A lot of them were arguing it was the era he played in.
Yep.
But a lot of them were arguing, well, he didn't have 3,000 hits or 500 homers. Yeah, he had 493 home runs, and he missed 108 games between the two seasons because of the strike. You're telling
I was going to say, the
you're
strike
telling me
point,
in 108 games he wouldn't have hit 7 home runs? I mean,
yeah.
With the way the rest of his career was.
Well, and then people were comparing it to, well, if McGriff is in, look at this person should be out, and I hate to bring up Ozzie, but they're saying Ozzie didn't put up the numbers to be a Hall of Famer. Why is he in? Did we not see? Back when Ozzie Smith played, his position was strictly defense. Any offensive production you got from him was a bonus, but he was paid to be a defensive player. So,
who's
the
great?
Call him the Wizard for nothing.
He what now?
They didn't call him the Wizard for nothing. That guy was a slipper play.
yeah. And the thing is one that WAR stat has to go away. I don't like it.
Wins above replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's got to go.
So here's the stats I pay attention to. I hate wins above replacement. That's not a stat for me. I actually look at their entire slash line. So your average, your on base percentage, and your slugging, right? And OPB is a big one. On base percentage plus slugging.
Yep.
Not OPB. I meant OPS, not OPB. OPS. On base percentage plus slugging. Those are the ones you should be looking at for offensively. Defensively, you should be looking at fielding percentage. How many errors do you have in how many games?
Yep.
And it's funny, they were talking about how it was a guy for the Giants back in the 90s. Played outfield. Darrell Lewis. So Darrell Lewis played for the Giants back in I know. So they said it was one of the opening games for Sunday Night Baseball, and they're sitting there talking about the Giants and how good Darrell Lewis is, and they put on the jumbotron. Darrell Lewis is playing in his 313th consecutive game without committing an error. The next ball gets hits to him, and he drops it.
Yeah. So Isaiah,
for a field goal kick, and they're like, "Oh, this kicker hasn't missed a kick in 20 consecutive kicks." Sure enough, he shanks the next one. You're like, "Oh, you had to say have the game-winning kick on line."
Right. That happens to Chicago. It seems like a lot.
Yeah, it does.
So Isaiah's comment there, why he said the kid was compared to Chipper Jones because he made his All-Star game his rookie year. MLB All-Star Game is, I mean, all All-Star games are a fan publicity, popularity contest. So to me,
Right.
yes, it's great to make the All-Star Game, but it has zero effect on, I think, what a player is or isn't. So
I think they need to get rid of fan voting altogether in all the sports and leave it up to the coaches and players.
yep, exactly.
Because Lonzo Ball, who did not play a single game for the Bulls last year, got 4 All-Star votes. You kidding me? Get out of here.
Yeah. No, the All-Star Game needs to go to players and coaches.
For sure. All right. Well, let's see. We got 10 minutes left. Let's for 10. What can we do for 10 minutes? Let's go rapid fire.
All right.
Okay.
And Chris is going to start.
All right.
All right. You ready, Chris?
Ready.
The one food you absolutely will not eat.
Ooh.
Poontang pie.
Dingleberry.
Probably steamed broccoli.
Steamed broccoli. Okay. Let's see. Let's just go around the horn. So we went, Chris, let's go mess around. The one band you absolutely refuse to listen to.
The one band I absolutely refuse to listen to.
Spice Girls.
They got a couple catchy songs. I'm not gonna lie. Probably not too many. God, I don't know. It's a tough one. I don't like the I don't know. I can't think of one off the top of my head right now.
All right, Big B, the worst movie you've ever seen in your life.
Oh, geez. I will have to say that I know a lot of people are going to hate this answer because of me not being that person that does this stuff, but Half Baked
Okay.
is
All right.
I know there's a lot of people that go, come on, it was a funny movie. I've never smoked pot, I didn't get the humor in it.
Got it. All right, Chris.
Yes.
You could pick to get $5 every week for the rest of your life, or get one lump sum of $250,000. What do you pick?
Lump sum.
Ooh.
Probably the lump sum.
Why is that?
Because you get it in one payment, but then you can use it for what you really need it for. Whereas if you got it in payments, you kind of have to
Okay,
hold
I mean,
it back.
that's fine. That's your answer. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Mess around. You lost a bet, and you have to either take one punch really, really hard from Mike Tyson, or you can get 3 punches doled out at any time by the person of your choosing.
Okay, I'll take the 3 punches from my son.
All right, Big
Because
B.
he doesn't hit very hard right now. And back to the band. The first question is not really a band, but I'm going to go with Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus. Okay, cool. That's a good answer. Let's see, Big B.
All
Big B, what is your favorite flavor of potato chip?
Ooh. Oh, that's tough. Actually, there's 2 now. Doritos got a good spicy barbecue one. And then there's like an off-brand one. I can't think of the name right now. It used to be very cheap, but now they're getting up there in price. It was what is it now? Like spicy barbecue rib one. Oh my god, it's phenomenal.
All right. Chris.
Yeah.
What? Let's see. If you could pick either one song to listen to on repeat for a month or one movie to watch every day for the rest of your life, which one are you picking?
I'd probably go the movie.
What movie is it?
Let's see. Mess around. You get you either have to eat hummus, nothing but hummus for a week, or you can never eat pizza again.
I like hummus. I can eat hummus for a week. That's no problem.
Jesus, that backfired on me. All right, because I wouldn't be able to eat hummus, man. It to me, the
either.
texture and the look, like, I don't know. It just looks like snot to me. And it has a lot to do with presentation for me to eat stuff. So anyway,
Yeah.
Big B.
All right.
Firm or floppy?
Firm or floppy. You got to have a nice firm. Yeah, I'll go firm.
Okay. Chris.
Yes.
Boobs or butt?
We'll go butt. I don't know.
Oh, you do know. It's okay, because we all know. We all know which one we are. It's fine.
Right. No, I know. We'll go butt.
All right. Let's see. We got. We'll end with the next two here. So we will say. Mess around.
Yeah.
Let's see. If you could pick between. Oh, are you there?
Yeah, I keep cutting out for some reason, but I'm here now.
Oh, it's good. Okay, so if you could pick between drinking a shot of Jaeger every night or chugging a bottle of bourbon.
Ooh.
Give me the Jaeger bourbon, dude. That's way too. Yeah, there's no way you're chugging bourbon. Nope.
And he's not wrong. Chugging bourbon. Bourbon's not made to be chugged, by the way. So let's see. Let's end with Big B, and let's get Big B a good one. Let's see. So Big B. You either get to pick bacon
Okay.
or cheese. One of them you can never eat again.
Ooh, that's rough.
Oh. Man, that is tough. I mean, because there's a lot of sandwiches that are good without cheese, but cheese makes them a lot better. And bacon can go on everything. I guess I'd have to go cheese. That kills me, but I'd have to go cheese.
All right, fair enough. All right, well, that was rapid fire for tonight. Chris, what do you got for us?
Yeah.
Final thoughts.
Thanks everyone for watching, tuning in. Preseason kind of started Thursday, but I think it goes into
Browns
effect
are undefeated.
True. And I think
Had to have
tomorrow's
that shit
on
all day
deck,
today.
right?
Yep, on deck tomorrow. Yep, you're right, Chris. Keep going.
And I think morning tailgates on that Sunday, so stay with Coast to Coast.
All right, Big B, what do you got?
What I got is, if anybody's following my Facebook, they know today was the 11th wedding anniversary for me and the missus. So she's actually gone doing. Thank you. She's actually taking care of. She does a side job for Horse Arena, so she does catering down there. So her and her mom are down there spending our anniversary. So I get the house to myself. So, but like Chris said, tomorrow's morning tailgate. We'll break down baseball action. The races are heating up, and then Sunday morning tailgate for second preseason week. We'll, dab a little bit into that preseason game, but we got a good show for you lined up for morning tailgate.
Big B, final thoughts. Or mess around, final thoughts. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to that question where I said my son for the answer. I know that he's gonna hit harder when he gets older, but the reason I did pick him because I know he's only gonna hit me because he loves me too much. Anyway, having said that, love this show. I'm looking forward to going camping next week with my bros. It's gonna be a good time, and no, I'm not gonna chug a 50 Jaeger or 2 pulls this time.
So I'm glad Mess Around brought that up because I will tell you that next Friday there will be no show. We will not have any service at all to be able to pull that off out there. And probably by the time the show rolls around, I don't know that we'll be standing upright anyway. So yeah, next Friday we will not have a show. So we will see you in 2 weeks on the 18th. Last thing I want to say is I knew this couple that was married for 35 years, and I asked the husband, how have you made it 35 years in a relationship? He said, hunting, fishing, and golf. And I said, yeah, but you don't do any of those 3 things with her. And he's like, yep, you're right. So then I went and asked the wife, what's kept them together for 35 years? Do you know what her answer was?
Hunting, fishing, and golf.
Hunting, fishing, and golf. And I said, yeah, but you don't do any of those 3 with him. And she said, exactly. Whatever keeps him out of the fucking house and away from me.
That's awesome.
All right. With that, we're going to bid you adieu for tonight. We thank you for watching and listening. We could not do this out with you. Christy got in right at the last minute. Hey, Christy, how you doing? We want to thank Isaiah for the comments. Tanner, thanks for your service to our country, man. We couldn't be able to do this without the things that you do. We want to thank you all for watching and listening. Lifelong dreams being lived in front of your very eyes. Tell you what, we'll see you all on the other side.